in your previous series, it was all about the nighttime sleep, and now you have this book about night. Is there something about night that you guys really like?
Wow. Yeah, it's funny. It seems like obvious, but I never thought of it. I think that there is. I mean, I think that all these books I've written while I've been raising little kids, and the night is something super powerful to kids. Their dreams, which featured in the Dormia series, are so strong. Like my kids, when they have intense dreams, they'll always scurry down the stairs into our room. And I think their fear of the dark also kind of put it on my radar.
In your description of the book, it calls to the primal fears with nighttime, growing up, and being left behind. Do you think, being world travelers, that's a universal fear?
I think it's a universal fear. I mean, it's that fear of the dark, you don't need to teach anybody, any kid, any even little baby anywhere around the world to be afraid of the dark. After the 2 years of kind of thinking about this book and researching the book and talking about the book, I feel like I've developed actually a little bit more of a fear of the dark than I have. Totally. It's just like you go in there and you like realize, historically and now all of the things that could happen to you in the dark. You're like, yeah, I think I'll sleep with the lights on.
You guys have little night lights now?
Yes, exactly.
We had a funny thing. We were on vacation together, and about 200 yards behind my parents' house is a awesome tree house that's cantilevered out over this waterfall. It's really cool. But the path is dark, and it goes through a pine forest. And I'm like, dude, we just wrote a book about the night. We can go 200 feet and make it to this treehouse without any flashlights. In fact, we're like, let's go barefoot. We're like 50 feet from my mom's house, and I felt like, Peter, hold my hand. Because it was so, I couldn't believe how powerless we felt in this. And that's why when Peter says, do you scare the dark more? I was like, yes, totally, yeah.
Besides making people more afraid of the dark, do you hope to have a particular message from this book, or hope that the readers learn anything?
When we wrote the book originally, we had a different ending. Here, spoiler alert. In the original ending of the book, they're finally escaping this island along this river that flows out across the old seabed. And they see this kind of figure kind of walking up the kind of banks of the river. And Marin turns to Kana and says, he came back for us. And Kana says, yes, he did. And it was the dad. So our editor, we thought it was very touching. And the editor, she's awesome. Our editor, Ari, was like, guys, I know you're both dads, but no. The kids got to make it out on their own.
This book and the writing process and the novel itself, to me, is all about perseverance. It's like when the times look worse, when you can't see anything on the horizon, anything light, you know that deep down inside you have to keep going, not just for your own self-preservation, but for the people around you. And because it's a powerful symbol of how making it through this world, no matter what you want to do, no matter what profession you want to get into, no matter what your career goals, most of all, it's about keeping going and putting one step after the other. And it's a very powerful message, and it's a message that I feel as if I've learned, and yet I have to relearn almost every single day.
Seems like a great movie. Any talk about that?
Yeah, we were actually earlier today meeting with our agents to talk about what we saw it as and what age group.
Would there be a sequel to the book?
We're working on a book right now that is set in the same world. And at this point, we don't think it's going to be kind of a very strict sequel, but it's set in the same world. There are some similar characters, but most of all, we think it's going to be a sequel in the sense that we want the sensation to be the same.
Hey, Justine, I'm Jake Halpern.
And I'm Peter Kuczynski. We're the co-authors of Nightfall.
Check it out. We hope we really give you a scare.